Oh, it's been a pretty aggravating day, but there's a new article that I'm sure will make things better. It's called AI Girlfriends Are Ruining an Entire Generation of Men. So without further ado, let's dig in. The rise of virtual artificial intelligence, AI girlfriends, is enabling the silent epidemic of loneliness in an entire generation of young men. It is also having severe consequences for America's future. How is something that seems so ridiculous, a virtual AI girlfriend, creating a future crisis among Americans? Well, with millions of users, apps have created virtual girlfriends that talk to you, love you, allow you to live out your erotic fantasies, and learn through data exactly what you like and what you don't like, creating the perfect relationship. These virtual girlfriends can even be based on real people. One influencer created an AI bot of herself called Karen, spelled or spelled with a C instead of a K. Okay. Then gained over 1,000 users, i.e., real boyfriends, in less than a week, and a wait list of more than 15,000 people. Jesus. An AI girlfriend might sound enticing. You get to connect with a super hot girl who listens to you and appreciates you 24/7. Beyond choosing physical attributes down to the size of her rear end, you can pick her personality. You prefer hot, funny, and bold. That's what she will be. Or if cute, shy, and modest is more your cup of tea, she's got you covered. Yes, these are real attributes you can have your AI girlfriend embody. And to be clear, these aren't cookie cutter chatbot interactions. By definition, the AI learns from your reactions and is capable of giving you exactly what you want to hear or see every single time. And they have come at just the right time to assume the silent epidemic of loneliness that is hitting this generation of young men. Let's look at the hard numbers. More than 60% of young men ages 18 to 30 are single, compared to only 30% of women the same age. By the way, I should also say, I think, and this I don't have any proof to support. This is just my opinion. I think the 60% of men being single between those ages is true, but the 30% of women who are single from those same ages is either a lie or they choose to be single. It's like a lot of guys just don't get a girlfriend. Like, just women don't like them back ever. A lot of those women that are in that 30% probably, if I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt, are single but voluntarily, and they could be with a man anytime they want. They just don't think anyone's good enough. 1 in 5 men report not having a single close friend, a number that has quadrupled in the last 30 years. The amount of social engagement with friends dropped by 20 hours per month over the pandemic and is still decreasing. These young men are lonely, and it is having real consequences. They are choosing AI girlfriends over real women, meaning they don't have relationships with real women, don't marry them, and then don't have and raise babies with them. America desperately needs people to have more babies, but all the signs are pointing towards fewer relationships, fewer marriages, and fewer babies. There have been 600,000 fewer births in 2023 in the US relative to 15 years ago. The number of children per woman has decreased by more than 50% in the last 60 years. So I want to just say this. I was someone who in the past wanted to get married, have a family, do much of the things that this AI article is talking about, but was stymied and stopped from doing that by being around, whether it was in real life or on the internet, a bunch of women who did not want to either have a family altogether or just did not want to have a relationship with me, period, which prevented me from being able to be part of this statistic that the article hopes increases. And what I'm getting at here is I wish, you're going to see this a little bit later with the article, but it does this thing where it rattles off statistics, but it never talks about the culpability of women in creating those statistics. It doesn't talk about how many women even want to have kids. You want to talk about the pandemic and these guys are getting AI girlfriends, but how many women, when you sit them down and ask them point blank, do you want to have a family? Do you want to get married? Do you, et cetera, et cetera? How many of them actually want to do that? Because if most of them don't, then a man could want a marriage, a family, and a front lawn, and he won't be able to get any of those except maybe the lawn because the woman doesn't reciprocate. So let me continue reading this. Put another way, we don't have enough people to work, and therefore we won't be able to pay our bills, not just to cover other countries, but to ourselves. We spend more than 1.6 trillion in 2021 on Medicare and Medicaid, with the number of Americans on Medicare expected to increase by 50% in 2030. to move to more than 80 million people, but over the same period, we will have only 10 million more Americans joining the workforce. And that is just healthcare. In 1940, there were 42 workers per beneficiary of Social Security. Today, there are only 2.8 workers per beneficiary, and that number is getting smaller. We are going broke, and the young men who will play a huge role in determining our nation's future are going there with AI girlfriends in their pockets. I just want to say this. What does someone having an AI girlfriend have to do with their working for fewer hours? There are plenty of men who are productive members of society with jobs and some other means of employment who are just not with a woman. So that it seems like that's more of a conversation about unemployment rates and some other topic altogether than male loneliness. While the concept of an AI girlfriend may seem like a joke, it really isn't that funny. It is enabling a generation of lonely men to stay lonely and childless, which will have devastating effects on the U.S. economy in less than a decade. So, when I saw the headline of this article, I was really hoping that we were going to get something, because I know how mainstream sources are. They don't want to talk about female culpability with regard to this stuff ever. But I was really hoping that we could get something close to a nuanced article that said, hey, there's a lot of guys that are lonely, and these AI girlfriends, even if it's not our cup of tea, referring to the person who wrote the article, there is something to be said that these guys would rather talk to an algorithm or some kind of program built in a machine than waste their time with people that are, going to abandon them or otherwise not actually care about them. But instead, the article shows that it's the person who wrote it is just another example of the exact same abuse that we have seen from other women, where you address a problem as if you're concerned that, remember, devastating consequences, right? But you go from talking about men and their loneliness and how only a few of them have a close friend, and 60% between 18 and 30 don't have a girlfriend. And then you shuffle that to talking about the economy and how fewer people are going to be able to work for. And that's the type of stuff where you get the idea that this isn't about, oh man, we need to do something about all these lonely men. We need to figure out why there's this big group of them who just feel as if no one is there for them. They don't care. They're only concerned, this article rather, because they think it's going to affect the economy. And I'm going to just say this. When someone, it doesn't matter if they're male or female, but when someone believes or feels like people or a system does not care about them, you can't expect them to care back about that system. So, for example, they were talking about the U.S. defaulting, and I had mentioned, when you have people who can barely afford a house, people who sometimes live in their car, they don't care about the economy not going well, because for them it's already not going well. So when I hear, the eventual fact that these men are single is going to lead to less people in the workplace, there's a lot of guys that are like, good, that's the chickens coming home to roost. You treated me like crap. You didn't care of my dreams being screwed over, so to hell with your economy and with your lack of people that can support your different programs. Like, it's crazy how they really, like, again, this article could have been so good if it tried to at least be a little bit nuanced, but it instead rattled off some statistics and then threw itself into its actual concern after initially couching itself and being worried about the progression of men. Now, I'm someone who's never been interested in what's the way of describing it? It's like they have these bots that people were talking about having physical intimacy with. I never was interested in that. But I have to say, I've never seen an AI relationship or any of that computer stuff before. But if it's based around being with someone that actually purports to want to spend time with you, I'll put it this way: I'm a lot more open to pursuing that than asking out another woman. I'll just leave it at that. I'm more open-minded to trying one of those than speaking to another woman, and I think a lot of people are. And I wish the article would address the fact that, you know, there is a disenfranchising of men with their female counterparts, but unfortunately, just like most other mainstream sources, it would rather just skirt around talking about that type of thing out of fear of being controversial, out of really just an attempt to trick people that read it into thinking that it's concerned. So, and it was an interesting article that I'm glad was written because there's more people recognizing the whole lonely single man thing. It's becoming more apparent to people outside of the I guess the internet bubble of the guys that talk about it. Um, but I wish it was better written and more nuanced, and we're just probably not going to get that anytime soon, unfortunately.